Well, we got our first Welcome to Eastern North Carolina day today, so had some heat and humidity, which is good. We need it. We need a lot of it. We didn't have any last week, and it hit them pretty good today. So it was another challenge. It's a great teaching moment. I thought we did some good things today, and I thought we had had some guys that struggled with with that heat and humidity all of a sudden. So the practices are very up tempo. There's a lot of running. There ain't much standing around out there. So we're going to play ourselves into shape and into being able to handle the elements, and because it's going to be humid down there in Charlotte for the opener, and it's going to be hot and humid here for the kickoff game in Daddy Ficklin. So we need this weather, so it was a good thing.
You talk about practice. How has the practice evolved for you over the 3 years that you've been here? How is it different now, if anything, than the way you used to? What did you kind of learn a little bit?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing that's evolved is, I'm not having to chase them as much as I did the first year. I mean, we didn't have much, get up in us when I first got here as far as, hustle and, some edge and some fire in our belly. And we didn't have a whole lot of that. Now, we got that. We got some young guys that they've still got to learn because they're new to the program. But the experienced returning guys, they know what's expected. And they know when the ball's snapped, they know what we expect as far as how they play. So, that's the big thing tomorrow. We got full pads on tomorrow, and I told them I wanted to see it from the get. From the very first snap, I want to see us play tomorrow the way we plan on playing September 2nd. So that's the biggest thing, is just the way we work, the way we compete, our effort, our hustle, how hard we play. That's the biggest change since year one.
Going with the heat thing, how did maybe some of the bigger guys, the linemen, those type of guys hold up, conditioning?
Well, we finished practice. Some handle it better than others. I think older kids handle it better than young kids. The older guys, they know what to expect, and they also kind of know how to push through mentally. That's one of those things that if you've never done it, you can't understand it. But your mind is going to give out long before your body does. And so the biggest thing is training your mind to push through when you feel like you can't take another step. And it's, like I said, we need a lot of this. A great learning day today.
Bailey Malvin looks almost like a different dude with his
No
size.
doubt.
How was that maybe translated to play?
Well, he's not getting pushed around. He still moves very, very good, and he runs very well. I mean, we did some sideline gassers at the end of practice, and I mean he's winning every gasser, and he's right at 300 pounds. He's 296. So the added strength and weight is going to serve him much better in this league because he learned painfully last year that you're going to get tossed around pretty good in this league if you don't have some mass to you.
You guys, looks like you're still repping X kind of at the edge. How has he handled that spot? And it looks like he's still doing some linebacker stuff as well. How was that transition?
Yeah, he's handling both. He's a smart player. He's a veteran guy. He's played a lot of football. He does a lot of things instinctively out there at the rush position. So it's really, really good. We do have depth and experience at inside linebacker, and our goal is to get as many of those, as many of the top players on the field together all at once. And so this allows us to do that. It also gives us a really good athlete out there. He and Jeremy, I like that tandem out there, and then he can always step inside and play Will. I mean, he's an all-conference player at inside linebacker. Anything else? All right. Have fun with Donnie and Blake.
Coach, obviously early in camp, but I know that a lot of competition at kicker, long snapper. Just how is that competition going on this far?
Was good. I mean, they're going to have to bring it to every single day. I think we brought some talented kids in there. I see Slade and Liam battling it. Slade Roy's extremely talented. So Liam left the spring, did a nice job, and Slade's going to push him every day. So that's going to be a neck and neck every day, no snaps off. They're doing a really good job. They're not short on talent. Same with the kicking position. Owen, I was confident in coming out of spring, really a solid field goal kicker. I think we're looking for someone with a big leg on kickoff, but confident in Owen what he can do in field goals. But we brought in two really good freshmen. Lath can really boom the ball, and then Carson, I think he's kind of been a really pleasant surprise. I mean, we rotate him every single kick at the end of practice today. So we're not short on talent, so we're going to be okay. The 3 deep is pretty darn good right there.
Is there a timeline there with the kicking specifically that you want to have the one guy or to connect on the game?
Well, I would love it if they we just go through and say, oh, coach, we got to make a decision. There's 3 really good kickers. That'd be a great world that coach and I would have to make a decision as we got closer. I'm not eager. They know, the competition is being the best version of themselves every single day. So timeline, I'm not concerned about it right now after practice, 5 today or whatever it was. So we'll work through the week. We'll do some scrimmage and situations and put some things on the line as we get closer to the game day. But, if we had 3 great kickers, that'd be a great problem to have.
Would you guys be fine with a guy handling both kickoff and, place kicking, or would you want one doing the other? Does it matter?
I do think philosophically, as you look at football, you love to give roles to different guys to keep guys involved and their energy up. But the best guy is going to go do it. If one guy can go focus energy, be a great field goal kicker, and the other guy's better at kickoffs, so be it. But if one guy steps up and he's the man, well, I'll be, they're going to be plenty rested. I mean, shoot, watch them during practice. They can hold the sticks. They're going to be all right. They're going to be all right.
What's the biggest thing you have to accomplish between now and the first game?
It's not just those guys, right? I want to solidify, that snapping position because I think there's some consistency and confidence that would go along with that. But now we got to get the rest of the situations in and the coverage teams and make sure when we punt that ball, because I think we got some good punters, then we make sure we cover it correctly and do a good job and get that thing on the ground. Same with the kickoff. If we don't have Verity putting it through the back of the end zone, well, I'll be darned. We got to make sure we have the right guys doing the right things on the kickoff team. And I think the skill level is getting better and better every day. So we got the ability to do that, Same with punt return. They got their shot at it today, and we know we got a good return man, but we got to give them space. So we got a lot of things to check off along the box as we install those teams and figure out who are those right guys, getting them in those situations and letting our good players make plays.
Coach Houston's talked a lot about depth and how that's kind of been a good thing. How can you see that on, like you mentioned, the coverage units, kickoff, punt return, the special teams?
Yeah. Well, we had a long meeting yesterday. And a lot of coaches were able to speak up. And now, I've been on staffs where times you're like, okay, give me a good 2 deep. We're searching for names. And you're like, well, he'll fill a spot. Now we're talking about 3 and 4 deep and making sure that we get those guys the right reps in practice because we got guys that go out there and do it. And I'm walking off the field today and 3 kids grab me. Hey, how can I get on that kickoff team? Well, that's a sign of a good football program going the right direction. So it's been really good.
Non-special teams wise, how is your group coming along in the edge room, the in outside linebackers, anybody emerging there early on?
Well, I think the sun brought out a lot of habits today, right? It was the first real test of fall camp was today, and we got some growth to do. We have some growth to do. We got to win mentally. I'd like to see a better performance than what we did today. I think we're developing a solid depth in the rush position with Xavier Smith being able to play rush and Will Backer. Jeremy Lewis is feeling good. Chad Stevens had a tremendous summer and has really come along. I'm really proud of the way he's worked in the summer, and it shows right now. Over there to the end, we've got Rick DeBrew moving in and out. Rick's a dynamic defensive lineman wherever we put him, and we're going to make sure he's on the football field. Manny Hickman had a very good spring and built on that in the summer, and we got to develop some depth behind him. So there's a little bit of depth that we got to get going at the end position. Kareem Stinson, Trevon Freshwater, they got to get going this week. This is a huge week for our football program, especially in my room.
So you heard that beat, didn't you? I knew you did. I said, son of a gun. I said, I checked it before I came in, and I said, son of a, what? I knew you heard that. Yeah, it was good. That was for you.
So you've been in Texas the last, year. 2
years, yeah.
So Texas barbecue or Eastern North Carolina barbecue?
Well, I know I'm not shy from either one, as you can see. Coach, that's a great question, really. I would play the fifth on this one right here.
When in Rome.
It's hard to draw by Sam Jones. It's hard to draw by Sam Jones, please.
I know on Zoom I look a lot taller, so this is the first time you guys have seen me in person, and you guys are a lot better looking in Zoom or in person than on Zoom. So, but hope everybody's doing okay.
A few days into camp, Coach, how do you think it's gone for your defense?
We do a little cut up in our side of the ball, and we call it the good, the bad, the ugly, the green dot, the red dot, and you certainly have some good, some bad, and some ugly. But overall, as coaches probably talked about several times, I think Coach Daoust just mentioned about special teams. You have more depth than you've had in the past. Year 2 of a defense is kind of nice because you go out there and kids know where to line up. They know this check. They know this formation, and so you're ahead of some things there. But we got to continue to, as you go through fall camp, just to build that depth, to build that toughness, to build that mentality of, hey, We can't be giving up the ugly. We can't be giving up the bad. We got to make sure we're having green dot, having good plays every snap, and make sure we get on the ground. And the challenging thing, Coach Kirkpatrick and the offense are doing, making us work every day, and they're stressing us. And he's got some guys over there that are really, really talented, and creating some challenges for the defense, which is good because that's what we're going to see all fall.
Blake, you're a guy who likes to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, do creative stuff to create a lot of confusion for the offense. Talk about that a little bit, what you kind of have cooked up a little bit.
Yeah,
Giving up way too much.
today we had a run period versus pressure, and we're not that far along in camp today, so I didn't really call it pressure. I just called it movement. But no, that's kind of who we are, who we want to be. We want to be attacking. We want to be an aggressive, get after you type defense. Whether that's whether we have to use pressures and movements and blitzes to do that, or whether we can just play our base defense and do that. But we always want to be attacking and really don't sit back on our heels. So that's kind of who we want to be. That's who we want our players to be. And that's how we want to coach.
You create confusion sometimes by not doing a whole lot, by staying in base.
I think it can. I think if you look at last year's film and you're thinking you see it coming here and coming there, and 70-80% pressure, and then all of a sudden you look out there and you're not moving it. That's kind of the unusual as of right now. So, but we got to have some balance there. We got to be able to do both, and we got to be able to line down our base defense and win the battle there too.
With DJ Ford, he was in here. We interviewed him Saturday, and on practice field, he's coaching up a lot of the younger guys. Is that kind of surprised you? His just natural leadership, being a transfer coming in.
He's an older guy. And he's, we got to get a lot of our older players doing that. So not just worried about themselves or worried about me, but taking care of everybody. And I think if you can understand the game and understand the scheme and understand, what we're trying to do defensively or situationally, enough to coach somebody else, that means you have true understanding of what we're trying to get done. So that's pretty impressive by him. And we got some other guys doing that. We got to get even more because we got some older guys that, Warren Saba, Bruce Bivens, those guys have been around 5-6 years now. So we got to get those guys doing the same thing. And sometimes in camp, you get the heat, you get a little bit of a long practice, and kind of get away from that, but we got to get back to that. So it's a great job by DJ doing those things.
Coach, you're moving Xavier Smith around a lot at practice. How's he responding?
Xavier's a versatile guy, and he's a all-conference player. And it doesn't matter if he's inside the box, outside the box, he's rusting off the edge, he's dropping into pass coverage. He's going to be a difference maker, and that's his mindset, and that's how he's attacking every day. And he's here to be a good teammate, and he's doing a great job with that outside and on the practice field and in the classroom, and just embracing that. And we're excited about what we can create with him because, as you spoke earlier, if you don't know where Xavier Smith's lining up, that might can create some problems for you offensively.
You got a new tool in your box this year in DJ Ford. How's that progressing?
Yeah, you look over there to the boundary, and not only DJ and Xavier Smith and Nolan Johnson or J-Mac, you got some longer bodies and some pretty good players. So, you may want to look over the boundary and say, that's not maybe we want to go with the football, maybe we want to go with the field. So DJ's helped create that.
Who are some of the guys that you think might be surprise guys that may give you an extra bonus that you may not have expected it?
The first one that pops in mind, I think we got several guys, first of all. And the one that pops in my mind that wasn't with us last fall, but was with us 2 years ago, is Gerard Stringer. Gerard started a bunch of ball games 2 years ago. When I got here, he got hurt that spring, and during the COVID, tore his Achilles there, so he missed. So I haven't got to see him on the grass, and he's been very impressive so far. Really, and he's really making Jair Wilson, competing with Jair, pushing him to make better. So I think we got iron sharpening iron there, and those two guys are pushing each other. And then the other guys, whether it's Aaron Ramsey stepping up and coming along, D'Angelo McKinney inside doing a good job, Warren Saba as usual, Jawan Powell in the back. All those guys are doing, but those guys I kind of expect to do that. Gerard's kind of been the biggest, a good surprise in a good way, and really pushing and playing at a first-team level right now.
I was going to ask about Aaron. How important is it for him to stay healthy? Kind of string practices together. We know his talent.
That's huge, isn't it? And that's the biggest question with Aaron is just can we stack practices and keep him healthy throughout the fall camp? I think as coaches we got to keep that in mind and do that. At the same time, make sure he's getting enough reps where he's in good enough shape to go win a game against App State and be in game shape and get enough reps to that he can knock the rust off and get in game ready shape. So, but it's huge for him just to stay healthy. You know, last year he'd get a solid week or two, then have an injury and setback, and then he'd come back, bounce back, and have a solid week or two, and then something else would happen. So, you know, fingers crossed, just get him through camp, and then App State, because he's a good football player. I mean, he has a nose for the football, does a good job of those things, and you know, a really smart kid. When you sit down one-on-one with Aaron, he's going to surprise you, like what all he can draw up on the board schematically, understands our defense, and very impressive there. And again, he's an older guy, 6-year player. So anytime you're playing with older guys, you feel really good about some things.
Sounds like the defensive line is still developing, trying to develop some depth, and obviously some things there. I mean, what needs to happen up front, do you think, to get game ready or get to that?
Yeah, Coach Daoust talked a little bit about our edges, and I think we're kind of coming up with some answers there. You know, whether it's Jeremy Lewis on the edge, Chad Stevens is doing a nice job out there. Xavier can give us another piece out there that could give some offensive problems and a little bit more depth out there as well. To the field, you know, he mentioned Manny and Rick have both done a nice job out there. So you kind of see on paper at least those guys can give you, you know, compared to last year, maybe, hey, we're better there. And then inside, you know, Elijah Morris and D'Angelo are solid. You know, we just got to continue to build depth behind those. Xavier McGiver's got to keep coming along. Deontay Smith, J.V. McCray, those guys. And they're getting there. They're still young. You know, they're second-year players. They're going through a hot camp, and that's not easy for big guys. You know, I say the hot camp, the first day of hot camp today. But, you know, they got to keep maturing and keep getting better every day. And I think we talked about this late in the season last year was the good thing about those guys, they've not leveled off. They've not hit the ceiling of their talent level. They get better and better every practice, every day. So, you know, and I'm sure, you know, may not see it from day to day, but you'll see it over a week's time.
So what's your general feeling as you know, come into camp? I know it's still early, but how good is this defense potentially?
You know, I think as long as Coach Kirkpatrick's up there scoring about 60 points, holding the ball for about 40 minutes, we can be pretty good. You know, it depends. We got to turn up from where we're at right now. We got to keep coming along, making a lot of improvements. I feel that we can be better than, you know, we were last year, and we have to. We don't have a choice. I mean, if we want to win ball games, we got to be a better defense. We got to be more consistent. We got to stop the run. And you look at game 1, 2, and 3. You know, if you stop the run, you're going to give yourself a chance to win those ball games. So that's what you got to continue to do. And those guys on the other side of the ball are making us do that right now. And they got some guys that can stick it up in there, and we got to respond and make sure we're doing a good job of defending the run. And that's where it all starts, as we always talk about, I think, each and every week.
By God, it should be.
Good series, buddy. Series.
All right, I will first say, unlike Coach Harrell, well, I love going after him because I get to raise the mic now, you see, is that with the exception of Jenny, I think all y'all look better with the mask on. I think y'all look very good on Zoom or in person, except for her. She looks good all the time. Okay. All right, anyhow, where are we going at?
Coach, I asked Coach Houston about Bailey now, but he looks like a different dude.
Yeah.
How much do you think that weight will help him and the offensive line as a whole? How much better they look?
All right, that's a great question because that really makes me smile. It gives me something to smile about today because I love talking about Bailey because Bailey is so awesome to be around. And, you know, the pandemic hurt him. You're right. It hurt a lot of people. But Bailey just lost too much weight, and it just really made him just too vulnerable up front. And the guys just bull rushed him last year. And so Big John and his staff did a great job, along with the nutritionist, and then Bailey having to do it, of eating a lot more, but also eating correctly, getting the weight up, lifting. We did some difference in his conditioning, and he looks a lot better, looks a lot more firm. The pass protection, you know, was still a major issue last year, and that has been one of the best things of the camp so far, is our pass protection has been very good. And that's one of the hardest things to do in college football is pass protect, like drop back pass. So you'd like not to do it that much, but you know you're going to get in that situation. So you have to work on it a lot because it's one of the harder things. And Bailey's weight being up, and he has not lost any of his quickness or any of the other parts. So it's been great. It really has.
Another guy up there, Avery Jones, a neat story of he kind of had to play center in the spring,
Yeah.
and now you're starting center, it looks like. Man, how is that kind of?
It's been good. I think when he came, we knew he could have played guard or center. He had played a little bit of center up at the other school he went to, and maybe even a little bit in high school. I think early, though, probably played mostly tackle because in high school, that's where you put your best player. So we always knew he had the capability of that. He's very smart, very young, or smart, even though he was young type guy, understood the game from a great high school program. So he had some coaching already. And he's just so quick, and yet he's so strong that he's going to make us a lot better. When you analyze the season and what you did good and what you did bad, from 2 years ago we had like really, really small centers. I looked both centers in the eye. Year one, we knew we were in trouble right there when that was the case, right? So we got a bigger center in Fernando last year, but Fernando didn't have that quickness. No slam on Fernando. He'd be the first to say that. Avery gives you both. We think he's an all-conference center, no doubt about it. That's a natural position for him. It does add a little bit more because now you got to snap and then block. So, there have been some timing deals like that, but he's taken to it really, really fast. So that's another really, really bright spot for the camp right now is Avery Jones.
When you put all these pieces together and the experience that some of these guys have got, do you feel like that you can maybe go a little deeper into your playbook this year and cause some trouble for people and get some stuff the easy way and get some the hard way?
Yeah, I really do. I think that's a good comment as well there. I think we're doing that already. Now that's one of the negatives to camp right now is we have too many busts, we have too many mistakes, and you think, okay, you got 10 starters back, you should be able to just pick it up, but it just doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying? Right now, what we do is we install our entire offense, okay, with the exception of maybe a few special situations in 5 days, okay? So we have been just throwing it at them. It's just like drinking water through a fire hose. I mean, it's just coming at them. And then you compound that with Coach Harrell is installing all the defense in 5 days as well. So it's 11 on 11. There's a multiple ways that things can happen. And then, all the different fronts, all the different plays, you got to block them different every day. So that's caused some mistakes. But eventually, then you come out, because it's whole part holds the way we teach it, then it should be good for the rest of the season. So having the offensive linemen, so many more back, has really helped. Now, we got some younger guys at some of the other positions at receiver, minus CJ, Audie, and Sneed that, we got to get them up to speed. So we can only go as fast as they can learn. Holton, you can really, really accelerate a little bit, but I've got inexperienced quarterbacks behind him that you got to slow it back down a little bit and kind of keep it a little bit more at the slower pace. But we're going to try to be as wide open as we can be. I mean, the main thing, though, is to keep the main thing, and that's win the game. So if it's a big scoring game, we've had a couple of those, Cincinnati, SMU, sometimes like that, you have to go. You got to open it up a little bit more. If it's a game like Temple last year where it appeared that if we would have left in the third quarter, they'd have played the fourth quarter and never scored, I don't think, after that. They weren't going to score that day. Don't go screw it up. We might have been a little more conservative than I would like to be if you just, could do what you wanted to do, but you got to go out there and try to win the game.
Receiver-wise, you mentioned Sneed and Audie and CJ. Who else is stepping up there early now?
I think Tyler Savage is really come back a little bit lighter. He's got really good hands. I think last year, he showed that in camp, but then he just wore out, and then he just maybe didn't have the quickness and the speed at the weight he was trying to play at to separate and get open enough. He's leaned out. He's done a really good job in the offseason. He looks quicker. He looks faster. He's doing a nice job with that. Jari Patterson has shown us that he's got the explosiveness to be a good player. We're just trying to figure out exactly where we play him. Nobody wants to play behind Sneed because Sneed won't let anybody play. He never gives the tired signal once to come out. But we got to force somebody to do that. So we're playing him there. We can play him some other positions as well. But he's really showed up, I think, in the first 5 practices. There's Tajee Hudson. Always brings something to the table. I think as he learns how to play receiver, that's the thing. He's an athlete. He's a track athlete. He was a little bit of a wideout, mostly a quarterback. He's an outfielder in baseball. So as he learns to run routes, I think we'll see him even get more playing time as well. So those would be a couple of the ones I think that have stood out besides the CJ, Audie, Sneed. They're always there.
Coach, how was your tight end room shaking out?
Well, I like the tight end room a lot more. You know, when we got here 2 years ago, we didn't have any tight ends. In fact, Jeremy Lewis, and I probably told this story, I apologize for being redundant. We had to talk to Jeremy Lewis, who had been recruited by the previous staff. We signed him, but we kind of talked him into coming over and playing tight end. He's supposed to be a defensive end, so he had to take a 2-year delay to get back over there where he was supposed to be because we didn't have any tight ends. I mean, we did not. Xavier, I think, was the tight end maybe the year before, and he went back to linebacker because we needed him there. So now we got some depth there. Shane Calhoun came in, had a great freshman year, is getting better and better. Ryan Jones has been a great addition to that. He missed a little bit more than we'd like for him to have missed in the spring. He's catching up the fall. He's definitely got some playmaking ability to him right there. Zach Bird's back, healthy for the first time, really maybe since when he first got here, so we can keep him out there. He's doing a much better job blocking and some stuff. Aaron Jarman is a great addition. He is really doing good. He's competing right there. So that room's, you got some depth. It's got some versatility to it now. We got different type of tight ends that can do different things. And then, I think Brian Gagg was back today in helmet only because he had turned his ankle in a conditioning drill or something. We think Gagg's got a place out there that can maybe help us too.
When you talk about that tight end bunch, talk about the importance of getting that tight end involved so they have to worry about the tight end too.
Yeah. Well, if you could throw it to the tight end in the red zone, it opens up a whole new passing game because you get down there. It's not about the speed as much now because you don't have as much area to run and go beat people deep. The guy can get down the middle of the Tampa 2, the cover 2s and stuff like that, throw it to him over the middle. That really helps you a lot there too. So Shane can do that. He can be a good receiver. We need to get him the ball more. We didn't do a great job of that last year again. I think that Shane, can do it all. He can block as well. So I don't want to. Ryan Jones is definitely that guy as well. So Jarman and Zach Bird are maybe a little more the traditional tight end, but those are the guys you can throw it to maybe as a surprise a little bit more. They'll probably be more of our blocking guys. So, but yeah, we're hoping to get them involved a little bit more. So.
You spent so much time with Holden. Does he feel like a coach out there now?
Well, I spend so much time with him that he's probably sick of me right now. And you hear my voice. I think I probably encouraged him a little bit hard today on a couple of different things. But he is, obviously he's the dream kid for a coach. I mean, what I'm saying, he can almost spoil you a little bit because, he just does everything that you ask as a coach. Now, we're still doing the same thing. I know I'm just repetitive. Holton can play at the highest level. I mean, there are games and there are quarters and there are drives where he is the best in the league. There is no question about it. I mean, first half SMU last year, tell me anybody in the country played better than he played in that first half. There's no way that anybody played better than that. And he's done that multiple times. We're trying to eliminate those mistakes. And what happens is when things don't develop for one reason or the other, somebody doesn't get open, somebody gets beat up front, the defense is in a great call, which does happen from time to time. They make a terrific call, and you don't have the perfect play called. Holton has a tendency, because he's so competitive and he's so confident, that he wants to just go do it on his own. And then sometimes that works. And boy, does that encourage him. You have to be really careful as a coach to praise a bad decision that turns out to be a good play. Now, it's a result-oriented business. What I'm saying? You win. It's a win business. So that's a great play, but that was probably a bad mistake because it usually leads to about 3 times it doesn't work for every time it works. So we're still working on that a little bit. I do think he's improving on that a little bit. He's come a long way, I think, about becoming maybe more of a polished quarterback than when he first got here. He was just an athlete, go run, do this kind of stuff. We'd love to run him. We'd love to run him more. But the thing is, all the defenses last year played him to run. That's why Keaton and Raji had so many good looks, is because sometimes they had 2 guys playing the quarterback to pull the ball. There'd be 2 guys chasing him out here, and nobody on the second level. There goes the back, long run. So we'd rather them run it anyhow. It's better. And we just worry a little bit about calling just total, I'm a quarterback run, power play, because running up inside, if he gets hurt, I don't know, season tickets probably go down, right now. Now, as we can get Mason and those guys some experience and we can get better, we can maybe take a few more chances with that right now. But again, the main thing is to keep the main thing, win the game. And in the end, that's what we're trying to do.
I was going to say, we haven't talked much about the running backs. And
Well, now you can get me happy there again too, because Keaton Mitchell and Najee Harris are light years ahead of where they were this time last year, and they're far ahead of where they were at the end of spring and last season right now. Both of them are exciting. So we kind of have a saying in the quarterback meetings. They constantly hear me say, if you can get it to 25, 47, or 22, you're getting ready to make all conference. You can't get it to them enough. So you can't always hand it to them in the backfield because defenses can take that away. Throw it to them. They're both great receivers out of the backfield. They both sometimes make the check down on third down look really, really good. And they've done that. They're making a lot of people miss. And, Najee, boy, he's creating some shoulder injuries now for those guys to try to hit him. Man, he's a load. He's a load now. He's the real deal. So thunder and lightning, it's real. Guys, appreciate what you do.